I don't know about you, but I am currently at a point in my life where I finally want to live the soft life, where I'm calm, I'm just going with the flow, I'm not constantly stressing, and I'm not trying to control everything. So, if this sounds like you, then this episode is for you. Welcome to another episode of Thinking Out Loud with me, Christina. And today we are going to be talking about going with the flow, living the soft life versus being so rigid. I was going to use another word, being so rigid with your routine. And how can you bring the famous word? How can you bring balance between the two? And I was actually discussing this with ChatGPT the other day, yes, and she speaks so like me, it's so concerning, but basically she came back at me and said if 30 to 45 minutes in your day can actually ruin your whole routine, then your routine was very fragile to begin with. And I was like, damn bitch, she was right. She was very right. Recently, I found myself creating blockages for the smallest of things, like as simple as going to the capital city in Malta for a coffee and not confining myself to my cocoon where I live. And I was coming up with these unnecessary blocks of, oh, there's going to be traffic in the morning. Where am I going to park in the city? Um, the journey itself. And these all were things that my parents were telling me. And I'm like, then it hit me at one point as well. I'm like, why am I taking on my parents' beliefs about this? Like, this is literally what I was doing. And I found it strange that I was doing that because, for God's sake, I moved countries by myself 3 times with just 2 suitcases. I travel solo, and I'm like, I do all these things. And I am stressing out about just going to the city, like going out of my comfort zone for a coffee in the morning. So this is literally what I did this morning. Like this was yesterday. I was having this meltdown yesterday, and this morning I just took myself out. The first thing in the morning I just got up, had my mini. I downsized my morning routine. Um, and yeah, I went to the city, I went to the place I wanted to go, and I was just so in the flow. Like, first of all, I felt good that I went out of my comfort zone. I did not succumb to my old self, staying, small. And I was just like, yes, I'm gonna do this thing that I've been putting off. And I did not wait because I was just like, oh, do I go next week? And I was like, no, I am gonna go this morning. And I went there, I had my coffee in peace. I didn't even use my phone. I just checked something and I was so in the flow that I drafted 2 podcast episodes. One of them I am recording this one. And I just felt so good, felt so in the flow afterwards. I came back home singing. I had nice interaction with a local here as well before I came back home. And I was just like, my mood was so uplifted that I was like, okay, we're actually gonna film these episodes now. But I am sure that if I did not do this morning, I I wouldn't be feeling like this. But anyway, before I digress more, I realized that the actual blocks to this, they were not the traffic, they were not the journey, they were not the parking. First of all, the most obvious one was that I took on someone else's belief that it was not mine. And secondly, it was actually my old self's need to control things all the time. And taking that control and reframing it as being efficient or productive, which is something that I used to do over the years. And I'm sure many of you can relate, especially high performing, ambitious people. Even especially as well if you have your own business, you can relate to this and you're like, oh, but I will be wasting time if I do this, why don't, and that is all the need to control. Now, one's nervous system is built around predictability, and it does this for safety. And to some extent, it is needed. Some predictability is needed. And of course, we'll go into this later on as well. But of course, some form of routine is needed for success. Like to wing everything is just, It's not my style to completely wing it all, like just go with the flow with everything. Having that balance is the sweet spot. But when your nervous system is built around, say, has the safety around the predictability, like the smallest of things, like some of what I mentioned before, but if you stop and you think, you will find that you do this so much that you can find your own examples to the point where you create this conflict inside of you between the part of you, the old part of you, so to speak, that wants to stay small, it wants to stay there, and the part of you that wants to expand, which is, of course, your higher self, part of you that wants to grow. But you cannot get to your next level self through being so rigid and frigid with your routines, that you're not leaving room for growth, you're not leaving room for movement, for energy flow throughout your day. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, I am at that stage, I can relate, so how can I navigate this? Now, as I said at the start of this episode, I am at a point where, of course, I am building a business as we speak, and I'd love some structure there, but at the same time, I'd love flow. So, how can you navigate the having structure and going with the flow while letting go of that need like to control so much? And dare I say, this has all been brought on, like this desire to go more with the flow. For me, it has been brought on while living in Bali because, of course, if you've been to Bali, you would notice that the lifestyle there is very, very different. But if you had the privilege of living in Bali, being there for so long, and I say privilege because it is truly a privilege to be a guest on that island for a period of time, because I truly believe it is an island like no other. And I won't get started about Bali, but I'm not talking about the touristic side of Bali. Bali has so much more to offer than that. I will forever be grateful to that island and what it has given me. But something that I started working on while being there is this going more with the flow and being more in my feminine energy. There's a lot going around at the moment between the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And it wasn't until I got to Bali the first time, which was on holiday the first time I've been there, I just realized how much in my masculine energy I was operating, to the point where a lot of these things I was doing unconsciously until, of course, did my NLP Master Practitioner course. I did it when I was in Bali as well. But it was only until I started educating myself more. Of course, there is multiple free resources on YouTube, but also watching the YouTube videos, doing my NLP course, I was like, oh my God, I am living so much in my masculine energy. No wonder most of the things I've done up to this point have turned out in this way. And I do not say this with regret because, of course, there were lessons there, but I started piecing everything together, and I just realized how much I operated from my masculine. And even my previous business, I built it based purely on masculine energy. And this is why I'm building my second business now. I'm building it now in this way because I'm doing it so differently to the first one, where sometimes I have people asking me, even like, why are you not selling yet? It's not about waiting until you are ready. It's not about, there's never the perfect time. And please, I know these things. It's things I tell to my clients. I could be selling if I want to. Do I want to be selling yet? No, because I know it's not about the work that I need to do externally on the outside, because that I can do. I can do that overnight if I want to, but it's about the work that I still need to do internally. And this is what a lot of people don't get when I try to vocalize this. And maybe I don't verbalize it as simple, or maybe as, I don't know, but sometimes I get weird looks as well as to when I say, oh, I'm learning to sit in the discomfort, for example, or I don't really like to discuss inner work because each work is personal to each and every one. but if you've done inner work or you're doing inner work, you will probably understand what I'm trying to say. And I went so off on a tangent there that my thought process was like, no. But I just wanted to give a bit of context of this, where desire for going more with the flow and letting go of control really came from for me, and wherever it came from for you, these are things you can take and apply to yourself. So anyway, while I was in Bali, I was learning to be more in my feminine energy. And what can happen when you start doing this kind of work as well is, or when you get this desire anyway to go more with the flow, is that initially you can go from one extreme to another. And this is with everything in life. This is not just this. But think of situations in your own life where, for example, you try to control everything. Let's say you operate like that, right? And then you're like, I just want to do the opposite. I just want to go more with the flow, and you end up going to the other extreme where you go so much with the flow, where you don't plan anything, where you just feel lost, and you just feel like everything's going to catastrophe. And you're like, no, 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 go back. Go back to controlling everything. At least that way I know what's going to happen. And the trick is just finding the sweet spot, the balance in between. So something I do is, I still have a calendar, but I swear by Google Calendar. I just love color coding everything. So I have my iCal on my phone for people's birthdays. That is all I keep it for. Family, friends, clients' birthdays, they all go in that calendar. And then my Google Calendar is my day, so to speak. So I have my Google Cal for my non-negotiables. So whether that is my gym, Spanish lessons, my work, my client calls, they of course all go in a calendar. My appointments, they all go there. But I've cleared it out. I had all these blocks for no reason. It was just full for no reason. And you might find that you do this as well. Like, you tend to look busy just for the sake of looking busy, where there is no need for that busyness. So I cleared this out and just actually left what needs to be there. And of course, your non-negotiables, they should go there. But then you leave room for movement. You leave room, more room for you just to go with the flow and adjust as you need to, depending on what comes up, because life happens. And as you know, and you're probably nodding while listening to this episode, stuff does come up. And sometimes you need to move stuff around. And if you're so rigid with your routine and this happens, your entire day ends up being thrown off. Something I did myself, it's not because something came up, but just today, my favorite time to gym, I'll start with this. My favorite time to gym is in the morning. I wake up, I do my morning routine, then I go to the gym, I get it done, and then I start my day. I always say the first 4 hours of the day, they are mine. And I want to go to the gym today. So as you can guess, I've not been yet, and it is like almost 1 in the afternoon. But this morning I forced myself to go to the capital and have coffee there. As I spoke about in the episode earlier, I was staying in my cocoon so much that I started feeling a bit like, like I needed some spice, I needed some life. So I was like, okay, this is something I've been holding myself. I just want to go and surround myself with a different environment. And I was just like, okay, I could do this next week, or I could just wake up and do it now. So I was like, okay, I am gonna go now. Not only, dare I say, not only did I feel amazing, and even my morning, like my mood right now is chef's kiss. And even while I was driving, I was just like, yes, you're doing it. You did not listen to your old self and stay in your comfort blanket. You just went out, and this is something small. Going to a coffee shop outside my way and, immersing myself in the environment that I want to is something small and something that can easily be done. But anyway, it just made me feel so good. I just went there, I sat down, people watched, I had my coffee, and then I drafted 2 podcast episodes. And I am filming the second one now. I would not be doing this if I went by my routine and kept it rigid and did not allow for this movement. Because if I went to the gym in the morning, I just realized now that after the gym, do not ask me to film, do not ask me to get on camera. All I want to do after the gym, unless I have plans to go out, which I will gladly do after the gym, the other thing I want to do is just have my food and just stay comfortable. I can work, but do not ask me to come on camera and just like, just be like this and be in this mood, because I have a calm down after the gym, unless I'm with my favorite girls. So you need to work with yourself. Find when you have the best energy, find when certain things suit you the most, and stick to that. Structure the day in a way that it favors you. And this is reminding me of another thing. When I first landed from Bali, I had some errands that I needed to do, and it was a Monday, I remember, and I was doing them with mom. We were spending the day together, and I still wanted to get the gym done. I still wanted my morning and my morning routine. As I said, my mornings are precious to me. It's my favorite time of day, and anyway, I just love having my mornings in a certain way. Whether that is going for coffee like I did this morning, or like going to the gym, it's my mornings, as I say, are untouched. Anyway, this is all to say that that morning on that Monday, I was doing errands with mom, and I would have structured the day in a different way where we would still have done everything. But I went along with what my mom said and how we should structure the day, because in my head I was just like, It's fine, I'm here, I just came back, let's just get these things done." And when I tell you, it put me off for the whole day. It's even the way I started my week. I was just like, this is not how I want to feel in the morning. This is not how I want to feel on a Monday, because something else, I love Mondays. I love Mondays, but I genuinely hated that Monday. I was like, this is not how I want to feel on Mondays. And looking back, the thing that annoyed me the most out of that is because I didn't listen to what I feel I should have done. I listened to what someone else thought I should do. And that is was what annoyed me the most. And you will relate to this if you have your own way of doing things. And let's just say, example, it could even be a Saturday morning, right? Let's say you have your weekend, it's your off time, and Saturday morning you planned to go to your Pilates class, go to gym, whatever, but have the morning for you, have a slow morning, and then go out for brunch, and then whatever, you start your day. Or even you could have planned an even slower morning where you wake up, you make breakfast, you have breakfast in bed, then potentially go to the gym later. But either way, whatever plan you chose, someone close to you, they ask you to do something, they ask you to help them with something. Because you don't want to say no, you're like, yes. But then you get this resentment. Realistically, you might feel resentment towards the person, but what it is as well is resentment towards yourself, because you didn't listen to what you believe you should have done, what you really wanted to do. And that is where the resentment, the annoyance, that is where it comes from. Always listen to your intuition. And notice how I said intuition and not feeling. And I use the word feeling with caution, okay? Because I understand that feelings can be deceiving. So let's say you are building a business, and one part of you wants to wake up, wants to do things in the business, and other part of you wants you to have a slower morning, wants you to stay in bed, not do anything. Now, of course, if you've had days where you did not stop and where you were constantly working, please have that slow morning. But if it's been day after day after day like that, and you're just gonna go by feeling again and stay in bed, that is an entirely different thing. Or if you're working on your body, I feel like this is one of the easiest examples. Like if you're working on your body and you know that really the only time that you have to go to the gym is, or to class, is in the morning before work, but then you feel like staying up late watching your favorite episodes series at night, and you know that's gonna sabotage you from waking up in the morning, but you still do it because you're going by feeling, then that is of course, this is why I use it with caution. Okay, so please make sure you are actually discerning between feeling that, aka intuition, that is gonna get you closer and closer to your higher self versus the feeling that is gonna keep you closer and closer to your old self. I will end with that. If you're trying to find a balance between going more with the flow versus still having structure and landing in that sweet spot, take a long, hard look at your day. Take a look at your calendar. If you don't have one, please do one. And just be, I was going to say realistic, but just be honest. Just be honest with yourself. What do you need in it? What do you not need in it? And make sure that your calendar and your life, your whole day, is designed in a way that is going to get you closer to your higher self, to where you want to get, and it gets you further and further away from your old self. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Thinking Out Loud, and I will see you next week for another conversation.